Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control, residential or commercial, emergency one-stop jobs, or preventative treatments scheduled throughout the year. Southeast Termite and Pest Control protects my home from vermin and varmints. They can help do the same for your home or your business. Southeast Termite and Pest Control. And now let's welcome in the next two vermin and varmints. Down there at the far right, we got VFLs. That's what the V in the VFL stands for. Former Vol quarterback Sterling Hinton, former Vol defensive lineman Daniel Hood. Thanks you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Want to remind people that coming up next, we're going to say, was this season a failure? The media gets first crack at that. Then we'll ask these guys about that question. But first, I want to talk about a historically bad defense. Stick with me here. Rushing yards allowed. This is the second worst rush defense in the history of Tennessee football. 2,588 yards given up through 11 games. The 1979 team gave up 2,600, so that's going to be broken. They did that in 11 games. Back then you didn't count the bowl numbers, so they would have given up more to Purdue in the Blue Bonnet Bowl. But you're second, you're about to be worst. Total yards allowed, you're third worst, but I don't think you're going to catch the Daniel Hood-led kidding. 2012 South Cincinnati defense. They gave up, unless Vandy goes for 700. Although you do have a bowl game you're going to factor in, so it is possible they could be up there. And then total points allowed, you're nowhere near that Cincinnati defense. This team gives up a lot of yards, but they haven't given up a correlating number of points. However, it's fifth worst all time, 306 through 11 games. Now, I also wanted to see Bob Shoop. Did I miss something when they hired him? Did we miss that this guy really wasn't good? Was there a glitch somewhere? Here are his all-time numbers as an FBS defensive coordinator. Now, this is what he gave up per game each of these years. 3 at Vandy, 2 at Penn State, 1 at Tennessee. What you notice is total yards. Look at 2016. By far his worst year ever. Pass yards, his worst year. Rushing yards, his worst year by about 100 yards per average per game. Has he forgotten how to coach, or does that once again suggest, folks, it's bodies, it's injuries?
No, I think it's injuries. I think if you factor in the injuries and we were to replay the season, I think he'd probably be more on par with his averages.
You agree?
I think he'd be better than some of those other years because you got Cam Sutton missed so much. You got Jaden Reese maybe still not out. The whole defensive line is depleted. I mean, it was they even mentioned on TV. Don't play D-line at Tennessee. It's jinxed. Everybody's getting hurt. So what he's done is win games, and at the end of the day, that's all I really care about: win.
I don't think you can say the injuries are all of it, as we've suggested in the past. There are issues that started before the injuries, but the injuries have made the problem go through the roof. I did think it was interesting. This got tweeted around a lot yesterday. Gary Danielson on the broadcast said maybe it's time Tennessee fans realize they aren't championship caliber this year. That's all that got tweeted. His next statement was, because of all the injuries, you don't have the same roster. That part didn't get tweeted around. I thought that was interesting. So there's no question. You look at those numbers. Same guy has been good all the way through until now. Injuries played a role. Not the whole role, I don't think.
Not the whole role. I mean, there definitely were some issues. I think maybe they were too aggressive in the playbook they tried to put out there this year at times. That got guys confused. Being in your first year, you can't do everything you want to do. It takes time for guys to learn. But now, you watch that Missouri game yesterday, there's no doubt. I mean, you got guys in there that are third and fourth string, and they're just getting lined up, blocked, and putting the cheap seats. And guess what? When you got defensive tackles getting moved 10 yards down the field, your linebackers are not very good at reading the run, so they're not getting to the hole. You're going to have big problems.
Daniel, run fits, tackling issues. Overall strength. Can all three of those be traced back to you guys? The younger you are, the worse you're going to be on all three of those? Is that fair or no?
I think it is fair, and I think also at the same time, I think your biggest things you got is you've got a strength coach change that I think at this point we can ask a lot of questions about.
We asked it after the Appalachian State game, as a matter of fact, when they were getting pushed around. I think you can still ask it today.
And I think so, and I would almost bet that you'll see something in the offseason that a change was made there. But the second part of it is injuries are going to decimate you. It's going to decimate your numbers just like you just saw. And it goes back to you can't practice full pads. You're not able to practice things full speed in practice. Your run fits aren't going to be as good. You got defensive tackles that are out, so your linebackers aren't going to be able to make good reads. And so when I look at it, it's, people hate to say it. You hate to say injuries have done this, injuries have done that. But look at what the team's been through. There's no way. I mean, it's impressive that they got where they are now. And so I say hats off to them, because the one big thing that I love this year that we didn't do last year is we're making plays to win games on defense. You know, you look at the fourth quarter. You know, fourth quarter, they're complete trash up to the fourth quarter. And then something happens in the fourth quarter, and we're able to build this big lead and get out of there with a good win.
Don't know that I agree completely. Don't know that, but that's why you're here, to disagree with me.
That's what I'm there for.
I do want to say this again. I know people are out there. They read John Adams. He said Florida had injuries yesterday, not like the injuries we're talking about.
Florida didn't have 20.
Didn't have 20 over the course of 2 straight months. It's different beast.
Yeah.
But again, you saw some of these issues early on, but I just didn't know what I was going to find there. Well, if we'd found that, he's always had trouble with the run. I did a run number earlier this year about how many teams have run for 161. I have no problem showing the negative if it's negative. But when you look at their averages per year, I just think it points to injuries again, that all of a sudden he's forgotten how to coach. I don't buy that. All right, when we come back, was this season a failure? Our media guys handle it first, then these guys come back and we'll talk failure. Come on back.